Roddy Cohn coming up right now because it's time to talk interest rates. Yes, as expected today, the rates have remained unchanged. Bank of England decided to keep the base rate at its historic low of 0.5%. It's going to give some breathing space to homeowners after this week. Scottish Power announced a massive price hike of 19% for gas and electricity, up by 10%. Finance expert is Roddy Cohn. Hi there, Roddy. How are you?
Hello there, Phil. Surprised you're not introducing me as Mr. Bar Humbug, but I'm relieved now, so I'm feeling fantastic.
No, it's all good. We love you, Roddy. Okay, interest rates at the moment aren't that interesting, are they? I mean, they're just staying put.
Well, it's 27 months now, Phil, that interest rates have stayed put, so it's not that interesting if you're retired and dependent upon that money for your income.
It's no surprise, really, they were on hold. I mean, there's so many things going on which, the moment they put it up, it's going to really put pressure on people, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's true. That's definitely the case, and there's certainly evidence of that from the Monetary Policy Committee. They seem to be split on which way the interest rate should move. On balance, they're holding them down, but they're holding them down because they are fearful that even a modest increase in interest rates will put homeowners under severe pressure to meet their debt payments. I mean, I'm absolutely staggered that if the statistics are true, Phil, that the average household has about £50,000 of personal debt one way or the other, car loans, credit card loans, those sort of things. And if that's true, then yes, you don't want all of that falling down like a pack of cards.
Yes, I know I've been asking this the last few months, but the thing is that when we were saying perhaps about now interest rates would go up, that's not going to happen, is it? And it's going to be perhaps over 3 years. You can see this time next year still being 0.5 if it stays like this.
Yeah, it is. But as you quite rightly say, we've talked about this for the few months, and I think what makes it interesting is that on one level, base rate is 0.5%, but that's not what British businesses are borrowing at. They're borrowing around 7 or 8%. And I think this is what's sort of choking the economy in some ways. If the banks weren't trying to shore up their balance sheets, get their house in order, then actually the interest rates could be a lot lower than they're lending at. And in fact, what we know, listening to Vince Cable, I think yesterday, is that some of them are still not lending to British businesses. But what we've got to remember is it's British businesses, small, medium and large, Phil, that actually create the jobs, that create the taxes and so on, and the opportunity for people to keep that money flowing around the economy. So it's very important to get this balance right, but to me it seems heavily skewed in favour of allowing the banks to get their act together and to, let's be frank about it, shore up their balance sheets and their paychecks.
We're back to the bankers again. I've got to mention...
it's a fact of life.
Yes, I know, I realise that. Scottish Power, the thing is that all of these inflationary pressures, another one which is bizarre but true is cucumbers. But because of what's going on in Germany, there's fresh vegetables. The price of those are going to go up, and we've been speaking to farmers because of the dry weather of late. Yeah. I know we've got some rain now at the moment, but they're going to lose an awful lot, and the price of things like corn, hay, all of that sort of stuff going up as well. So there are so many pressures now.
There are, Phil, aren't there? And it's difficult to know how to square this circle, I think, both in the context of interest rate policy but also commodity prices. We've said before on the show in the past that the reason inflation's rising as it is, heading towards 5%, is because the goods that we import from overseas have risen very sharply, and that's making things more expensive. And this is often what's cited as the problem, is that there are certain things outside anybody's control where interest rate policy won't actually allow you to control that imported inflation because you're not controlling those commodities or those countries. So there is a real dilemma there, and farmers, poor old farmers, are always having a hard time, aren't they? I can't even think of a decade when they didn't have a hard time. The only thing that I think is going in their favour is these farmers markets, which are fantastic because it allows them to reach out to the consumer direct and get a fair price for their fair service.
Well, but you had some good news at the end there.
Well, I tell you what, Phil, I was thinking with you mentioning cucumbers, that might be alluding to me coming round for lunch, but I still haven't got there, so...
The invite is open, I promise you. I will get that to you ASAP, Roddy.
The summer's here.
I know you're never fed.
I'm half the man I used to be since I started on this programme, Phil.
Yeah, I know you are. Poor old Roddy, the finance expert. You have a good one. You take care.
And you,
BBC Radio Berkshire.